emotions about doing this. Oh shit.
Hi everyone, welcome to our weekly Q&A session, and today it is my pleasure to welcome here our Coach Cristian. So hi Cristian, how are you today?
Hi, Coach Veronika. I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I had a really great weekend. I went on a wonderful hike. It was like I was looking at like in the mountains and the blue skies, and it was exactly like the Windows wallpaper. The green
Oh,
and blue. It was beautiful. The sun was shining, and it was not even a breeze. It was really nice and peaceful. So, I'm fully energized from this experience. So I'm really looking forward to our Q&A today.
yeah, wonderful. Yeah, it's always nice to hang out.
Okay, so actually we have some questions already coming in on the YouTube, and the first one is from Muhammad. So, hi, I'm already 3 months under bedtime. Almost every night, either zero sleep or feel like no sleep. I was told this is lag phase. Do you mind sharing if you experience lag phase and how to go through it? I already enjoy many things in my life, like hanging out with friends, watch movie, even attend night concert. So, right. What are your thoughts, Christian?
Well, is it Mohammed? Is that correct?
Mohammed. Yeah.
Mohammed. Well, first of all, thank you for your question. I appreciate that. I love the fact that you mentioned you're enjoying your life. You're going out. You're doing things with friends, going to concerts. I think that's wonderful. Don't know. I'm gonna take a wild guess. I don't know what lag phase means or how you define it, but I would say that maybe that you're going through like, as we define it, as a speed bump. So struggling for a couple days or for however long with little to no sleep. And so, once again, if we go back to the basics, if you're awake, if you're not sleeping, it's clearly it sounds like you're dealing with some hyperarousal. Your brain is still scanning and monitoring the environment, making sure you're safe. And it kind of goes in phases. I think oftentimes the initial phase is this intense fear, and so we feel it's very palpable. And then it moves, and it tends to kind of fade, this intense fear, and we can even find ourselves in the middle of the night just completely calm, at peace, but still hyper aroused, and that's totally normal too. So I'm guessing this is what you're defining as the lag phase. And what did I do? So for me, it's interesting because my speed bumps tended to be about 3 days with little to no sleep, and then it was choppy after that, and it was just all over the place. So anytime, regardless of what you call it, or whether you're even defining it under insomnia, if you're a human being that in the middle of the night for whatever reason wakes up or is wide awake, what can you do? Well, what can you do to help pass the time? I avoid using words like enjoy doing, because now there's this pressure to somehow do something and find ourselves enjoying it. So I've kind of removed that as something that we need to do. But imagine, I think I've used this example before. Imagine you're stuck somewhere. Imagine you're stuck in an elevator, and all you're doing, you're all you have with you is your phone, and help is going to arrive, but it's going to be maybe several hours from now. What can you do to help pass the time? So while you're awake, going back to this befriending wakefulness, what can you do to just help pass the time? And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be actively involved in doing something, because you can also just lay there in bed and just rest. But what would feel best out of whatever the options are, I think can be very helpful. And so that's what I did. This befriending wakefulness, and again, the list of things that I did are going to be completely different from yours, because everybody just kind of responds to different things that might be interesting or exciting or whatever for them. And so this befriending wakefulness kind of helps to retrain the brain that you see that you're not responding to anything that's a danger or a threat. You're behaving in a manner that is really just kind of a normal response. If my wife was up in the middle of the night, she'd probably play with her phone, or I don't know, do something. So what would feel best to help pass the time? And the more you respond in this kind of composed manner, like not reacting to a danger or a threat, the more the brain starts to see that there is no danger, there's nothing to fix, and that hyperarousal, not linear, but will start to come down with time. So, Veronika, any thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, I would like to go to another question because I see many questions coming in, which is really wonderful.
Okay.
So thank you so much for answering these. I hope Muhammad, you got the answer you wanted to hear, or maybe not exactly what you wanted to hear. Like just don't do anything. Do what you want to, like kind of like enjoy, do your best with the given time. And right, we have a question from Lukasz. Hi, Lukasz. Hi, how to reduce hyperarousal and anxiety about sleeping. In other words, how to look forward to the bed again. Thank you. So, how to reduce the hyperarousal? That's the question, Christian.
Well, again, thank you for the question. And I would say, I think sometimes when we're dealing with this kind of conflict of going to bed or feeling anxious or hyper aroused, it's a pretty big jump to go from like fear and anxiety to like looking forward to it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big jump. So how about maybe just kind of slow things down a little bit, maybe take our time and just go, what would it feel like if I recognize that my bed, my room, this environment in which I rest, how can I just be okay with it? How can I recognize that there's no danger, there's no threat? How would that feel? And I think if we slowly start to move into this direction, I think the nervous system and just our overall hyperarousal can kind of ease off and not feel like it needs to monitor and track so much. It's just like if you're having like a really rough day and you're sad and somebody walks up to you and says, "Hey, smile and be happy." Like how does how
Yeah.
does that work? How do we fake a smile? How do we genuinely transition from such a difficult spot to all of a sudden finding joy in it? So I think maybe I understand the question, but maybe let's be a little bit softer, even with yourself, as opposed to going from um, struggling with the bed to all of a sudden like loving it. Is it Lucas? Was that the name? It's Lucas.
Lukasz.
Okay.
And
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. So even though I've been in this state of recovery for, I would say, over a year, I don't think I look forward to my bed and go, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Like to me, it's just like it's just bed. And maybe, I don't know, maybe years or months or whoever, or it doesn't even matter. Maybe at one point I may look forward to it, but it's really just kind of neutral about it. So maybe phasing, transitioning from like fear and anxiety and hyperarousal to maybe just more of a neutral, like I feel safe, I'm okay. I think that's a pretty good jump or a
yeah,
pretty good goal. So that's,
absolutely.
yeah. So
Yeah, thank you so much for answering, Christian. And yes, like I would just add, like how to reduce hyperarousal. It's not about like how to fix it, how I can make hyperarousal go away. First, we need to learn to kind of like tolerate it, to befriend it, to learn to be okay. The hyperarousal is here, but it does. We don't have to add more struggle, more stress into it. Like, oh my goodness, I'm hyperaroused. This means I'm not going to sleep, right? And creating all these stories around it. So notice the stories. Uh, be aware of them, because this awareness is neutralizing the kind of like the anxiety, the stress about it, right? So when you just notice like these stories and that the hyperarousal is here, you just acknowledge it. Oh, I feel hyperaroused. Why? Because my brain is trying to protect me. We don't have to antagonize the hyperarousal there, right? If we are feeling it. So when we can learn to tolerate it, again, like you mentioned, being neutral about looking forward to bed, or being neutral about experiencing hyperarousal. With this approach, we are teaching our brain that there is nothing to be afraid of. There is no threat. Even hyperarousal. Experiencing hyperarousal is safe. It takes time, it takes repetition, Lukasz, but you'll get to the other side, I'm sure of it. Okay, so right. And let's go to, wow, so many questions. Right, we have a question from Divergent Flyer. If I get the urge to engage in mental compulsions and phrases regarding sleep recovery at night, should I resist the urge to engage in the compulsions and just let the nature take its course? Let me get this phrases regarding sleep.
okay.
Should I resist the urge to engage in? Should I resist the urge and just yeah, but you would like to start, Christian, or
Sure. So I'll guess here. I mean, that the idea is if you think about thoughts, if we decide to engage in these thoughts and dig deep and dig into them, maybe maybe there's really no need to. Maybe it's just thoughts. Maybe we can just kind of watch them just kind of pass and go by. So I resist the urge. That's kind of what I was kind of sticking on. Imagine if you're having these random thoughts, but
Mhm.
you're telling yourself, I have to resist the urge of engaging with them. Like that's
Mhm.
an effort. And I think that creates more pressure. And so I think that's a little bit kind of difficult. But what if maybe how we're perceiving these thoughts, if whatever we're feeling, what if we just look at them as just there's nothing that we need to really do?
Mhm.
What if we witness see them and just say, I don't know. I don't know if there's any meaning or purpose to them, because I remember one night, still just kind of being wide awake, and they're just thinking, okay, well, what if I just allow my brain to just think whatever it wants to? And I think I mentioned this before to you, Veronica. I was like, all of a sudden, I was like in some kind of a race car, and racing around. I was like, I don't know anything about cars, racing cars. I've never watched a race before, and at that moment, it really didn't mean anything. It just felt like it was just my brain just kind of moving through things. So I think what can be difficult if we start to grab these thoughts, engage in them, and try to figure out the meaning and purpose of them. I think that's this kind of heaviness, and it can be really tricky because when do we let things go? So, but that's kind of what I got from the question, Veronica. Any thoughts?
What I understand from the question, of course, thank you for your answer. It's what I'm thinking is when we have this kind of like compulsions if you translate it to insomnia, it's more like sleep efforts. And one of the sleep effort for me was like I have to black out all the LED lights in my room because they in some sort of magical way they disrupt my sleep, right? This was my urge. Okay. And when you have this compulsion, this urge, like, oh, I have to do this in order to sleep, then logical, when you have the education, you understand, but okay, if I black out like really tiny light, it doesn't affect my sleep in reality, right?
Right.
But but we have this urge already in us. So, and we want to do this compulsion. Our brain is literally making us to do this. But when we ask ourselves, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to black out all the LED lights in the room? Then, then you can just kind of like acknowledge, oh, I have this urge. There is, it's like an emotion. You feel it. It's kind of like this tension, this nervousness. If I don't do this, I will not sleep, right? So acknowledge the feeling, stay with it, and if you still feel like you want to do this, just go ahead, right? But if you have kind of like created this space between yourself and the urge, and in this space you can decide whether you want to do this. And maybe one time you'll decide not to do it. You will decide, hey, I'm safe here, even if I don't black out this LED light. And this is the progress. This is where you are learning to be okay with the discomfort. Okay, when when it feels not so safe. Logically, you may understand like I'm safe here. It's all fine, but innerly you you are experiencing this kind of like urges, but you don't have to respond to every urge because so many times you do them literally mindlessly. Your brain tells you something and you literally run to do this. Oh, I have to drink the chamomile tea, and you are already pouring the hot water on the tea bag, right? But when you really pause for a moment before uh, really doing fulfilling or whatever, like doing this urge, then when you create some space, you can decide, do I really want to do it or not? And by creating this space and allowing it to exist, this urge, this discomfort, this is what is teaching our brain that even if you don't do this, you are safe. So this is my take on this question, and thank you so much, for Divergent Flyer, for being here. And right, we have a question from Tanishk. I hope I have spelled your name correctly. And she's asking, "Hey, sir, ma'am, please guide me. I was doing very well. good, with all, and was sleeping like a baby since 3 months till I came to know I'm predisposed to bipolar, which may be going down a rabbit hole, which again triggered this loop. And I saw no guarantees or like individuals with that predisposition to these mental disorders find it more difficult, which caused me itself anticipation anxiety. And then I don't see the rest of the question, but I think we have enough information.
Yeah.
So would you like to answer, Cristian?
Yeah. So I would say what was interesting is you mentioned that you were sleeping great for several months, and then
Right.
you were triggered. And once you responded, or you perceived this as a danger or something as a threat, then that hyperarousal came back in. So notice that insomnia always. Oh, here we go. Is there some more in
Ah,
there?
I just finished reading it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
then I read it seeing people suffer that much and losing lives and losing themselves begging, which made me lose my mind. I'm struggling currently fifth day and of going through this 9 months in total. I'm so sorry you're experienced this, Danishk.
Yeah.
So please continue.
You notice that oftentimes that insomnia really begins with not what actually creates this the sleep disruption, or whether it's health, or injuries, whatever it is. It's always the response. It's how we respond to it. And
Mhm.
so the moment we perceive that there's a danger, there's a threat, now the brain is hyper aroused. Now it's scanning and monitoring to fix a problem. And so if you can go back to recognizing that you were sleeping well for 3 months, that was all completely within you, that you were able to do this. New
Mhm.
information came in, you recognized it, saw it as a threat and as a danger. Now we're once again hyper focused and trying to fix something, when in reality it's just the response that's creating the struggle. And so of course, anytime, this is why we talk about kind of going down the rabbit hole again, right? Anytime we start reading something, or somebody reads something, especially on Reddit, like Reddit is really good for this, right? If I find it on Reddit and then I heard this person is going through this, is this going to happen to me? And then now the fear comes back, and we're trying to brace and prepare for something that's never even happened, that we randomly heard, don't even know any more details to it. But it's this fear, this monitoring, this hyper arousal that gets kicked up, and trying to fix and pressure ourselves and to try and avoid something, which is really can't avoid anything that's going to come our way, but it's always the way we respond to it. So learning from your past, and then the last previous months that you were sleeping so well, how did that come about? It came
Mhm.
about because it was effortless. There was nothing you need to do. And if you ever are dealing with any health issues or concern, or mental struggles, it would make sense that you can have sleep disruptions. But sleep insomnia is completely different. And so maybe you can have some sleep disruptions. But if we go back once again to these 3 months where you're sleeping great, there weren't any disruptions then. And so
Mhm.
maybe what's happening is you're perceiving these things as a danger, as a threat, and now you're bracing and preparing for something that really hasn't come. And so I would maybe go back to the history of how well you were doing, because you were doing this on your own. Your body was responding in a way that it didn't need to fix or solve anything. There was no problems to resolve. Veronica, what do you think?
Yeah, I have nothing much to add. Thank you so much for answering, Christian. And we can move to another question from Meher. So, hi. Is it okay if we watch blue light? Like said, in the sleep school to watch Netflix or anything which you enjoy. Will blue light affect my brain or eyes? Because one of my known people suffered brain issues. So, what do you think, Christian?
So I almost started laughing at this. This is not about the question. I'm not laughing at you. Is I remember when I was going through this one program. It was called, was it sleep? Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Effortless sleeper or something. Whatever. It was out of South Africa. There was like this real focus on blue lights, and so I bought all these screen protectors for my computers, for my TVs. I bought glasses for it. We all looked like a bunch of nerds walking around the house putting these stupid things on. Did you get your glasses? Because blue light is terrible for you. And it was so much nonsense. And then once I realized, like, this is ridiculous. We got rid of everything. We threw everything away. And yeah, no, this is again one of these things when we hear about how dangerous it is. This is Veronica. I know you're a lot younger than I am, but did you remember when you were a kid and your parents or somebody would tell you, it's like, don't stand too close to the TV. It'll make you go blind. Like, don't sit in front of the TV, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, well, I'm in my 50s, so I think we got like 20 years difference here. But I remember saying, it's like, don't sit too close to the TV. And I was like, why? You'll go blind. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Now we have VR glasses that we put on our face that like 2 millimeters away from my eyeballs, and that will make us go blind. So this is, I think, the same thing with this blue light, where it's I don't know the science to it, but listen, I did everything I could to protect myself from blue light, and then I gave up, threw it all in the trash, and I literally, when I go to bed, instead of even watching TV, I put the laptop on my chest so the screen is like inches from my face, and then I go to sleep with no problems. So I would say probably just don't worry about the blue light.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really about the blue light itself. It's the fear and the story you are telling yourself about the blue light. So feel free, watch the next Netflix there.
And my daughter, so we put this crazy looking neon light in her room, and it's bright pink. You can go outside and like see it from like a few houses away. Yeah, she sleeps like a baby with that thing on.
Wow. See, wonderful.
So,
Okay. Meher has sent us a smiley. Right. We have a question from Catherine. So, hi Catherine. I'm having tons of speed bumps these past few days. I feel so helpless. It is so hard to navigate. I no longer have anxiety, but why am I not sleeping? That's the question. So, what do you think, Christian?
well, Catherine, thanks for the question. I think, especially looking back to as I went through my journey towards the end, I still kept having these speed bumps, and I was so frustrated by them. I was so just tired of having to go through this over and over again. But when I learned and recognized that the speed bumps were these opportunities for me to continue to reinsure and tell my brain that I was safe, there was nothing to do, that it was okay. Now, it felt uncomfortable, it felt unpleasant, because ultimately all I wanted to do was sleep, but there was no danger. I could be frustrated, I could be annoyed, just as like if we're going through the day and our car breaks down or something annoying happens. It's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant, but there's no threat, there's no danger, there's nothing we need to change or fix it. And so if once again we can reframe these speed bumps as bad or negative or going backwards, and we look at them as, okay, here's a chance for me to continue to show myself, to prove to myself that I'm okay, that I'm safe. I think that is a way for us to start moving away from it. And sometimes it shifts. It can go from sleepless nights to early wakenings, or waking up a ton of times in the middle of the night, or going to the bathroom a bunch of, like, whatever it looks like. It's how we respond to it that either makes it a little bit sticky and we kind of keep struggling with it, or we feel like we're going backwards, or we can just recognize and go, uncomfortable, not my favorite, no big deal. It's okay. We're safe. There's nothing we need to do. There's nothing we need to fix. And there's, I think, a big difference with if this is happening to you and our dialogue is something like, there's nothing I can do about this. I can't fix it. It feels very helpless, feels very, very difficult and weak, and like something is happening to us, as opposed to saying, I don't need to do anything. It's fine. Do whatever you need to do, right? Whatever, that let the body, let the mind, let whatever it needs to do, whatever, because we're okay. Now we don't have to necessarily enjoy it or love it, but we don't need to find a solution. We need to fix it. And you'll notice that things move and it shifts, and it's always the same thing. It really is. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I would like to address the other part of the question. She asked also, like, I no longer have anxiety, but why am I not sleeping?
Right.
And, actually, this shows like really big progress on your recovery journey, because we start in a huge overwhelm. We don't know what is going on with us. We don't know where to go with all of these. We are frantically looking for solutions. We have a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic, a lot of really strong emotions. But as we learn about insomnia, what it really is, that is just a fear, that is just an emotion, it is just a set of thoughts. We are calming down, and but our brain is still on high alert. It doesn't let go so easily. So then we experience like this silent hyperarousal, or like Daniel calls it, like this super ninja hyperarousal, which is really silent. We are when we are not experiencing like these strong symptoms, but we are just calm and we don't sleep. Know that this is just a very normal part of insomnia recovery. There's nothing really strange or unusual, and it will pass with time. So acknowledge it like nothing unusual. It is just befriend wakefulness. You can choose like Christian said, like when you're in an elevator, you have choices like what to do, whether you want to just rest or you want to scroll your phone or you want to watch a movie or just keep resting. So it's really up to you, Catherine. It's really normal and it will pass with time. Right, and today we have really a lot of questions. It's wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. Um, right, we have a question from Amy. I guess part of my question is that I wonder if feeling that sleep drive is necessary, or can people fall asleep just by getting into bed and feeling relaxed? Hopefully that makes sense. I think I can shortly answer this. It does make sense. I know what you're asking. It just the sleep drive is really necessary for you to fall asleep. If there is no sleep drive, there is no falling asleep. You can just lay in bed. You can be relaxed. But if you haven't been sufficient number of hours in awake, then you simply can't sleep. Like imagine imagine. I'm thinking of two scenarios that I want to share and choosing like which one. Uh, like you wake up in the morning and after 2 hours you decide you just want to rest, right? And you don't necessarily have to fall asleep because the whole sleep drive has been consumed, but you can still enjoy the relaxation. So right, I hope this made sense and I answered your question, Amy. And let's answer one last question. And this one is from Emily. And she is asking, I feel so close to recovery and fully letting go, but just hit a speed bump this past weekend. Just curious how your speed bumps were towards the end of your recovery journey. Thanks for everything. So, do you remember the speed bumps close to?
Yes, Emily, and they were still awful. All speed bumps are awful because we
Yeah.
don't want them, we don't like them. And so, yeah, mine were still at least a night without sleep. But again, it really, joking, I was awful, but really, when we reframe things and we look at them differently, I think that's part of how that hyperarousal comes down. You mentioned in your question, says you're kind of like towards the tail end of recovery. When I remove like what this finish line looked like, I'm just living my life. What I noticed is there was less pressure. There wasn't any tracking, because what does somebody fully recovered from insomnia look like? Does that mean they'll never have a sleep disruption? And maybe it's no longer a speed bump. Maybe it's just maybe excited, maybe for whatever reason. I mean, my wife, we're just talking about this maybe like a few days ago. She had a sleepless night maybe 2 weeks ago. For what, that's not insomnia. Is that a speed bump? She's never had insomnia. So it's how she's defined it. And she doesn't define it like anything. It doesn't mean anything, purpose to it. And so maybe if you feel like you're towards the tail end of it, what would it feel like if you just said, I'm just having a normal human response? And what do I need to do? Nothing. It's just a normal human response that happens to people. I think that puts a lot less pressure. I remember towards again, like the tail end of this, eh, if I were to define it as such, of my recovery or journey, I no longer started defining things as a speed bump, or I didn't define myself as an insomniac. I didn't tell myself that I was recovering. I was just a normal human being having normal experiences. And regardless of what the night looked like, whether it was a hard time falling asleep or I woke up in the middle of the night or whatever it was, there was nothing to fix. There was no labels. It was just living my life. And so I think once we start defining things as just normal, whatever happens isn't really defined as this insomnia category of struggles. It's just living our life. So I
Mhm.
think it just puts a lot less pressure on ourselves.
Yeah, I really love this, like not defining these like parts of insomnia recovery. Like this is speed bump, this is a
Right.
bad night, this is this is that. But I have to say that it was very similar, like to what Christian was saying, and what actually is recovery? That's the question,
Mhm.
right? The and you know, we can't eliminate the sleepless nights in our life. We can't really uh, sleep perfectly every single night. I don't know, 7 8 hours uninterruptedly. Wow.
Right.
No, it is basically impossible because life is happening in
Right.
between, right?
Yeah.
So we define recovery as even when we have a sleepless night, a bumpy night, a night of little sleep or some more anxiety, and when we don't react to it, when we take it as a normal part of our life, like Coach Cristian mentioned, when we don't define it as a speed bump. So definitely, in the words of recovery, I still do have speed bumps, like, but because I am traveling, because I'm sleeping in a different place, because I'm sick, or these kind of things. But it doesn't spiral me down into consecutive nights of not sleeping or thinking something is wrong with me, or this is coming back, this is awful, I can't have a bumpy night.
Right.
So uh, I'm really glad. What is your name? I'm sorry, Emily, that you feel like you're towards the end of your recovery journey.
Right.
And thank you so much for asking the question. I hope we have answered it. And I would like to repeat right now because I have a drop-in call in our Insomnia Immunity program. If anybody is interested in to look more into a group coaching, to have more intense support, if you feel like you need more information to be in a group of people who know exactly what you are going through, just head over to www.thesleepcoachschool.com and look for Insomnia Immunity program. If you're interested to have a one-on-one call with Coach Cristian or with myself, just head over to one-on-ones. Otherwise, I will be very happy if you keep watching our channel, keep posting questions, and I'll see you next time and with Coach Cristian some other time. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Bye bye. Take care.